Hi there, I am Bethany Londyn, founder of healthAddiKt and the Mainstream Mission, where we are taking the alternative out of alternative care. We are looking to raise consciousness around health and well-being, and we're bringing to you stories from different people that have different backgrounds, whether it's a doctor or fitness expert or someone that's cured themselves through stretching. There are so many different unique and alternative methods that people aren't even aware of. And so we're here to share that journey with you. And I'm so excited that you've come to listen. And please share if this supports you with your people, because everyone deserves to hear these amazing messages of people taking on their health. So thank you again.
All right, we are on air with Neil Cannon. He's written a book called The Truth About Exercise, and he's also going to share with us some information for our health addict listeners today, raising the awareness around testosterone, inflammation, which is a big issue. And I'm really excited to hear about his newest book, The Vitality Secret. Right?
That's the one. Yep, that's the one. That's the main one.
And he's going to just give us all sorts of information. I'm excited. So first off, where did you start in this
industry? In the industry, about 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote a book about increasing testosterone naturally through nutrition and fitness, which was initially on a completely different subject. Well, not completely different. It was actually, I was kind of trying and testing different online marketing strategies. And I decided one of the best ways to do it was to write a book. And I outsourced for a book to be written, having done lots of research, and saw lots of guys complaining of man boobs. So I actually first wrote a book about getting rid of man boobs, although initially it was ghostwritten, and then it came back and it was terrible. So I ended up rewriting the entire thing myself.
Yeah.
And I found out that we were faced with all these endocrine disrupting chemicals and compounds and hormones and whatever else in our food supply, water supply, cosmetics, shower gels everywhere, which are causing problems with guys. So the first book was actually
even.
Sorry.
I mean, my first thought is soy, but you just said shower gel.
Yeah, even shower gels. There's estrogenic compounds in these things.
Wow.
Which, or endocrine disrupting compounds, should we say, hormone disrupting compounds. And obviously, your skin is the largest organ on the body. So if you're putting stuff on your skin every day, which is loaded full of chemicals, it's actually pretty toxic. Right. So, that book was initially designed to help guys get rid of man boobs. And then I rebranded 2 years ago to Mojo Multiplier. It was actually a recommendation by this consultant for Beachbody. He said, I think you've got a great hook because this is a massively hungry or in-demand market. But he said, why don't you open it up to help guys increase testosterone? And
the man very niche-y for sure.
Yes, exactly. So the testosterone thing. Now there's loads of stuff on testosterone, increasing testosterone. But it's a big thing because testosterone levels have dropped by about 22% in 2 decades. Sperm counts have almost halved in half a century. And operations to correct gynecomastia, which is man boobs, is the 4th most popular surgery carried out on men in the US. It's crazy.
So did you have man boobs?
I wouldn't say so. But it's
okay. Well, how did it? I mean, like, why were you so inspired to write about man boobs?
Good question, and I'll answer it. 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Okay, I was at a wedding, and a friend came up to me the day before I was due to be best man, and he just grabbed my nipples and went, "How are your moobs coming on, Neil?" And I was like, "Really great of you to ask that question in front of all these women."
Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Pretty good about myself now. Yeah. So then, a year or two later, I've never been really overweight or anything. I wouldn't say I had man boobs per se, but I could have been. I wanted to get leaner, and it was kind of it made me kind of look around the market and see what people were complaining about online. What in the health and fitness niche, because I really wanted to write a book in the health and fitness area. So I realized that all these guys were complaining about it. That's what kind of, then kind of enticed me to look into it, should we say, together with solving my own problem. So then I was able to kind of balance my own hormones, increase testosterone and the rest. So that's when I came across all the information about men being feminized. pretty crazy.
Oh, that's, yeah.
You're kind of lost for words.
No, I had something I was going to say, and I'm like, I'll just hold it. My book is called Mannerisms. So when you say it, I'm like,
See what you've done there.
Yes, something to do with women and men and the mannerisms of men.
Interesting.
Yes, but anyways, this is about health.
Yeah.
So, okay, so man boobs, and maybe you should, support the audience with a few things there.
So the main one is to take out all the hormone disrupting chemicals from your food supply. So some of the obvious ones are all the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and insecticides. All of those, they're cancerous and they cause endocrine disruption, which is hormonal disruption. So there's quite a few bad chemicals out there. So go organic is the obvious one. Like you said, take out soy. It's a phytoestrogen, meaning it's a plant-derived estrogen, and 92% of soy in the US is actually genetically modified as well, which makes it even worse.
Right.
So like a double whammy of estrogen going into your body. I've heard some horror stories of people going, all sorts of problems with estrogen. With soy. Another one is to keep insulin flat. We're living in a very carb-loaded diet.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of our diet is carbs, which is a lot of sugar. So every time you have like a massive insulin spike, testosterone levels plummet. Unless you've just done a workout, it can be good to have, say, a banana or some kind of high glycemic carbohydrates after a workout because it helps.
Afterwards?
Or even before, muscle repair and build.
Okay, my understanding is you do it before and then you have protein afterwards.
Yeah. It actually helps afterwards as well because it helps with the muscle repair and repair, hypertrophy. So insulin's job is to, transport nutrients around the body, and it takes the excess blood sugar from the blood and it puts it into either your liver cells or your fat cells or your muscle cells. If your muscle cells are depleted, your muscle stores are depleted, having a workout helps to build them up again. So it helps with muscle retention and prevents muscle loss if you have carbs. You don't need them. It's just the recovery is faster when you have carbohydrates after a workout. So keeping insulin flat. We live in a diet where most of us are just living on carbs. So our blood sugar is just going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. And this is why so many people are becoming insulin resistant. And that's what leads to type 2 diabetes. It leads to inflammation, which is what my next book's about, The Vitality Secret. It's a very sugar, people are basically living on sugar. And
it's
sugar
just
spikes.
So tasty.
I know it is. It is.
And addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other one is
I've given up sugar multiple times, but somehow I always stop giving it up.
Yeah. It's a challenge. I mean, I'm not 100%, I'll have the occasional desserts or whatever. And the odd slice of pizza or whatever, but very rarely. I'll have sweet potatoes. That's not sugar in itself, but it triggers the blood sugar response. Anyway, so keep insulin flat instead of this up and down, up and down, up and down, which is what we're doing all day long. And
can't you do that also with a mixture of protein?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
if you are eating carbs, add some protein.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. If you have, say meat protein or fish protein, it's best not to have it with a starchy carbohydrate. It's much better to have with vegetables.
Okay.
Our digestive enzymes work differently with meat and with starchy carbs. It works way better to have meat or protein or eggs with some kind of vegetables rather than like a starchy carbohydrate or the typical, pasta or bread. That mix isn't the best. What is good for testosterone, next point, is fats, lots of healthy fats. So we're being told the whole low-fat craze, that's caused so many problems. Since the early 80s, that's when the obesity epidemic spiraled out of control. It's when the diabetes epidemic spiraled out of control because all the fat was replaced with sugar. Fat doesn't affect insulin much. It's the, very, very tiny amounts of insulin are affected by fat, but it's the sugar that causes all the insulin spikes. And that's what leads to type 2 diabetes. And that's what leads to fat retention. So insulin's, in fact, fat storing hormone. So when all the fat was taken out, replaced with sugar, and people just started feasting on carbs, that's when the obesity epidemic and the diabetes epidemic started. You can look at all the graphs; it's crazy.
I didn't know that didn't have a play on the insulin levels.
No, it's very, very moderate. I follow a high-fat, low-carb diet. It's the easiest way to stay lean. It's,
that's very bulletproof too.
Yes, exactly. I've met Dave Esper. He's a cool guy, interesting guy. He's done something pretty clever there. I do it. I do right now. I'm actually off coffee and tea for like 2 weeks, but I normally do drink bulletproof coffee in the morning. It really helps to tide you over if you have it in the morning to not eat until, say, lunchtime. Helps with intermittent fasting, which is another great way of increasing testosterone and getting lean and all sorts of things.
Okay. Well, and that's beneficial to women too.
Yep.
So even though it's kind of man-focused. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Do you mean intermittent fasting is good for women, or my book?
Well, sure. But no, I'm talking about testosterone levels.
Yes. No, women need it as well. Women produce it as well, just in much smaller amounts. We produce estrogen just in much smaller amounts. So if women are low, finding it really hard to burn fat, or their libido is through the floor, it might be that they're low on testosterone. So
I was flatline because I was told an average for women is 80 to 100.
Right.
And I was below 10.
Whoa. Did you have low energy?
I've always been a workoutaholic.
Okay. So
I wouldn't say so, but there was definitely something wrong. I mean, that's one of the reasons for this whole startup is because my estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone were all below 10, which was very unhealthy. And I was told at the age of 30, and I'm 35 now, that I couldn't have kids because it was physically like my body couldn't produce the eggs. So that kind of started the whole journey. And then the frustration with Western medicine, oh, you can't do this, versus
figuring out a way of making it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to a naturopath that specializes in hormones, and I'm good. I'm good now.
Awesome. Good to hear that. That's just another example. I hear of so many case studies of where Western medicine has just said, no, there's no chance, or take this drug, take this drug, take this drug.
Yeah, no way.
Completely with you. And people are just led to believe that's their only option.
Right.
It's one of my biggest bugbears of all time is how the Western medicine works.
Bugbears?
Sorry, that's an English thing. Frustrations.
Did you say bugbears?
No. I don't know what word you're saying. What is it?
Okay, me neither.
It's a frustration. Gripe.
What is an example of what happens to someone that does have low testosterone?
Okay, here's one. Okay, if a man has low testosterone, he could be low energy, low libido, tired all the time, so fatigued, gains weight easily, can't build any muscle, low sex drive. Did we say that? Mental and physical energy, mental clarity, motivation. Foggy head. It's got so many crucial attributes. So if there's quite a few of them there, I just listed about 8 of them. If you're low on any of those, it could be low testosterone.
Right.
Just thinking of an example, because you're talking about we're talking about pharmaceuticals. About a year and a half ago, I did my spiel about my book, which is called Mojo Multiplier, by the way, the one to increase testosterone. And this guy came up to me and he said, I've got low testosterone, I've got low libido. Can you help? My doctor's put me on testosterone replacement therapy and a drug for my thyroid. And I'm going, what the fuck? He's like, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. He said, he's like early 30s, and he's put on 2 drugs, testosterone replacement therapy and a thyroid drug, because your thyroid is like your hormone secretion mechanism. So he was put on this, and I said, has your doctor asked you anything about your diet, your lifestyle, anything like this? He's like, not really. I was like, run me through it. And he ran me through it, and it was a typically conventionally healthy diet, conventionally healthy, which is basically screwing everyone. And I said, right, swap over your breakfast cereal or your porridge with eggs. Just have eggs in the morning. Load up the omelets, whole organic eggs. Chuck loads of vegetables in there. Coconut oil, turmeric. Let's have awesome spices. Broccoli, spinach, peppers, onions. This is what I live on, basically. And then, just take out the grains, because grains are inflammatory and they cause hormonal disruption. I said, take them out completely. And I said, just load up the vegetables, tons and tons and tons of vegetables, go organic. One of the main ones is up the fats, down the carbs, keep insulin flat. And I said, lift weights twice a week. And he came up to me in 1 week. He went, Neil, I can't thank you enough. I'm already noticing a difference. I've dropped 4 pounds of fat and I feel my libido coming back. He said that this tightness in his thyroid was going, which he'd had for a year. And his doctor probably would have had him on medication for the rest of his life, which completely with you.
Yeah.
If you take testosterone replacement therapy,
it's so frustrating.
It really is. If you take testosterone replacement therapy, it sends a message to your brain to stop producing it naturally, or stop your body gets the message that it doesn't need to produce it anymore because it's got this external introduction of testosterone into your body.
Ooh, that makes me want to ask you something.
Okay.
Let's test you on this. So to me, because the bulletproof diet is essentially ideally at 70% fat.
Okay. Yeah.
But so to me, what I immediately think is, okay, well, and I was talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, you start to lose all this weight. But what I'm thinking is once you start giving your body so much fat, then automatically you're going to lose the fat because your body doesn't need to hold on to it. Is that a correct statement?
I wouldn't put it like that, but your body switches to nutritional ketosis, which is when you switch energy resource from being a glucose burner to a ketone burner. So glucose is for all the carbohydrates, and the likely ones are being bread and pasta and the starchy ones like potatoes. So when you take them out of your diet, and you don't burn glucose anymore as your main energy source. You burn ketones, which are derived from fat. So that's how your it literally switches like energy reserve, and you go to nutritional
that's way
ketosis.
more. That's like diesel, right?
Right. Yeah, but it's like
good diesel.
Yeah, clean one. It's like being on rocket fuel. Like you can think more clearly because if you think about it, every time you have like a really starchy carbohydrate, your blood sugars spike super fast, like super high, like an injection of blood sugar in your blood. That goes straight to your brain. You get the happy chemicals in your brain, like the sugar rush, which is carb rush as well. Like you've just taken. The same pleasure centers in your brain are set off as is heroin and cocaine, and they're also this is why sugar and carbs are also addictive. It's exactly the same mechanisms in the brain. So that leads to concentration problems as well because your blood sugars are doing this all the time. When your blood sugar spikes super fast, your pancreas secretes insulin. It takes out the excess blood sugar from your blood to prevent it from becoming toxic, and it drains your blood. It drains your brain of glucose, which is what it was just had that high from, and that's what puts you into the food coma. So if you switch
in the low.
Sorry, the low. Yeah. So when you switch to being in ketosis, you're giving your brain everything it wants. Like your brain is like 70% fat cells. So if you're giving it fat, you can think more clearly as well. So going back to what you're saying, you switch energy reserve or source from glucose to ketones. And your body actually produces glucose. You don't actually need to take the glucose from high starchy carbohydrates. Your body actually produces it in a process called gluconeogenesis. So then you're able to function, and you're able to just like be a superhuman, and your energy source is now fat. So
got it.
And that's how you're able to just burn super amounts of fat, lots of fat. There's a documentary, you set me up on one now. There's one called The Sick, Fat and Nearly Dead. Have you seen it?
Oh, yes. I love that movie. Yes.
The reason he's able to live on vegetable juices for 60 days and come off every single medication off this cocktail that his doctor had put him on, and which were going to kill him, the reason he was able to live that long is because his body switched to nutritional ketosis. Do you remember for the first 2 to 3 days? He had headaches. He couldn't think. He was like in a whole lot of pain. But after that 3 days, he was able to just function completely normally. by feeding on or feasting on vegetable juices, and he did supplement with fat because you do need to have fats in your diet. It's an essential.
Well, he sure didn't talk about that.
No, that's not very. I think they mentioned nuts and seeds at one point, but it's not a huge point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you burn fat when you're in nutritional ketosis because it's like a new energy source, and then you just eat fat. So you eat avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds, fatty fish, eggs, all of that. It's all healthy fats.
Got it. Which leads to your book, your newest book.
Which is The Vitality Secret. Yes, this is all about inflammation, which is basically behind pretty much every common disease there is. And when it becomes chronic, it leads to almost every single chronic disease there is. Like, it suppresses the immune system, and it leads to every disease. So common illnesses I'm talking about are the likes of eczema, asthma, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, IBS, Lyme disease, even food and animal allergies, all inflammatory diseases. And I come from a family of eczema and asthma sufferers, by the way. I've had eczema all my life until recently. So I was never told it was an inflammatory disease until I started researching this topic about a year ago. I didn't know. As a kid, I was told to come off wheat and dairy when it got really bad. Weren't told why. It's because they're two of the most inflammatory things you can eat. So especially now, the quality of the wheat is so poor compared with how it was 10,000 years ago at the start of the agricultural industry. Anyway, so inflammation causes problems like eczema, asthma, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, all of those. So when you conquer it at its core, you can get rid of asthma. Asthma is inflammation of the airways. The standard treatment is a steroid inhaler, which is localized steroid, and it releases the inflammation in the airways. A better way of doing it is to treat it at its core, because it's not actually treating the inflammation. It's coming from somewhere. So when you take out the really inflammatory culprits like sugar and grains and all the toxins and all the packaged goods that we find in our supermarkets, grocery stores, which are loaded with artificial flavorings, preservatives, whatever else, added sugar and high fructose corn syrup, which is, all of those are inflammatory. When you take them out, you're removing the toxins. So your body, inflammation is basically your body's reaction to what it perceives as an attack on it. So if you take out the toxins, you're freeing up your body, and then you just have way more micronutrients, which is your vitamins and minerals from plant-based foods. This is why vegetable juicing is so brilliant for getting rid of inflammation. So you take out the toxins, you load up your micronutrient intake, you up your fat intake, and you take out the carbs because of the sugar ups and downs, and then you can reverse inflammation. That's it. In a nutshell. So there's more to it, but
that and loads more in the book.
Yes. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you take toxins out, and you just load up your immune system with everything it needs.
Well, and it gives your body the ability to heal itself.
Exactly. And
that's what I absolutely love about the Fat, Sick, Nearly Dead movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched it like 10 times because I'll make people watch it and I'll watch it with them again.
Yeah.
You got to get to the very end, the very, very end.
I just love the fact that he got off every single medication and just a matter of months, when his doctor would have had him on all those drugs, that cocktail of drugs, probably until the day he died, and he probably would be dead by now.
Yeah.
Had he not, done his own, got off his own back and decided to kind of do his own research. So yeah, it's such a powerful documentary that it's something I've picked up across my research over the years, is that we're stuffing our faces, but we're starving. We're starving ourselves, our immune system, we're starving our cells of the micronutrients they require to thrive. This is why people get ill so easily. Our immune systems are suppressed. Cancer doesn't grow in a healthy immune system. Cancer grows when your immune system is suppressed, and it's completely screwed. And that's from having a complete lack of micronutrients. So we're getting fat, but we're starving. We've got diabetes, but we're starving. I
love that statement. So what's your regular diet?
High fat, low carb, paleo. I'd say about 90.
Run us through. You wake up.
Yeah, so I mix it up a bit. Sometimes I do some intermittent fasting. Like today, in fact, I've pretty much started doing the intermittent fasting thing. So I work out in the morning, And I typically like to work out first thing because it just clears my head. I'm just way more productive. And if I'm doing the intermittent fasting, I won't actually eat until around lunchtime. If I'm not doing the intermittent fasting, I'll have like an egg omelette, like I mentioned earlier, fully loaded, organic, whole egg omelette, none of this no yolk nonsense. We need the whole thing. It's really good for, cholesterol is actually a precursor nutrient for all hormone regulation. We need it. That's why statin drugs that completely cut out cholesterol are killing people. Anyway, that's a side point. So we need the cholesterol. It's good for us from decent whole organic eggs. So I have that with, cooked in the coconut oil with all the vegetables and whatever else. For lunch, if I do the intermittent fasting, then that's what I'll have for lunch. If I don't do intermittent fasting, I'll have some kind of meat protein or, fish with vegetables, just tons of vegetables, sometimes with quinoa, and then something in the evening, very, very similar. I just have lots and lots and lots of vegetables and typically very few starchy carbs.
Quinoa is okay.
Quinoa, yeah, because it's actually officially a seed. It's not actually a grain. So wheat's the worst one. Wheat's the culprit for so many problems because it's got 3 anti-nutrients, like main anti-nutrients, and that's gluten, which is the gut poison that more and more people are becoming intolerant to. And then there's lectins and phytates, and all those cause inflammation of the gut. They stop the absorption of nutrients. It's cause all sorts of problems with the gut. And the immune system is basically in the gut. 70% of the immune system surrounds the gut. So when you're just loading up your gut with all this, the anti-nutrients from the wheat, that's what causes so many problems. I've just heard so many case studies, some of my own, in fact, with my own clients, of people sorting out a plethora of health problems by taking out wheat. If you want to get even one step further, it's just all grains, so rice as well. It's less offensive, but they still have phytates in them. So, coming back to your question, so quinoa, yes, fine. I'll have sweet potato sometimes, but the majority of my diet will still be vegetables in some way or another. And I have a few vegetable juices every day.
Wow.
So, sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I forgot to say with my omelette, I'll have a whole avocado. I'll have a side of spinach, tomatoes, cucumber, and just lace it in olive oil, like getting all the fats in there. So, some people think it's boring, but I'm not really much of a chef, but I seem to get by okay. I guess sometimes I cheat in the evening. I go to Whole Foods or I go to around the corner and get like a $10 salad or something. But it's they're super tasty, and it's it's
So you load your veggies with fat.
Yeah, and protein. I do have some kind of protein. I mean, there's obviously protein in the veggies, but the majority of the protein will come from some kind of meat or fish. Here, more fish, because I don't trust the meat over here.
Wait, so where are you from?
Where do you think?
Well, I thought it was Australia.
Yes, that's what everyone thinks.
Oh.
It's, England.
England. I'm like, you made the reference for England, but I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know where I heard that. Never mind. All right.
Yeah, England.
Got it. And so how do you work with clients? Just so we might as well share.
Yeah, one-on-one. I also do one-to-many coaching. I'm actually building a new program now off the back of my book on inflammation. So I've just signed up a new client, and I'm actually guaranteeing that I'm going to help him reverse inflammation. I'm going to balance. I've got his whole blood panel back. I'm going to help him reduce, or should we say, balance cholesterol, because you don't just reduce cholesterol, you balance cholesterol. There's different types of cholesterol. Reduces high blood pressure. He's come up, quite high on C-reactive protein, which is your inflammation test. Even if you don't think you have inflammation, get this test. It's like it can be a life-saving blood test, because sometimes inflammation goes unnoticed, and the first sign of anything wrong is often something serious. So that test, I've got everyone to test, and I'm going to help my clients get that right down, balance all the blood sugar levels. I've helped other clients reverse diabetes, pre-diabetes, all through diet, exercise, no drugs whatsoever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put all your information in the show notes so people can find you.
Yeah, please do.
The podcast and healthAddiKt, and yeah, it's awesome. So so the like basically I would say the takeaway from today is to balance your insulin.
Yeah.
Do your best to get that.
Keep it flat.
So you're not having the spikes. Yeah.
The insulin spikes leads to so many health problems, and brain problems. If you've read Brain, brilliant book. It talks about how
I've seen it.
Read it. It's amazing. It's not just how grains are affecting our brain, but it's actually the high glycemic diet we're now living is what leads to neurodegenerative decline, so brain health decline. If you just think about what happens every single time you have a blood sugar spikes, you just get that shot of blood sugar into your brain, and then your pancreas comes out. It's like on overdrive to get the insulin to come out to extract it. Mm-hmm. So it's these constant spikes, time and time again.
And alcohol.
I didn't mention alcohol. What did you say about alcohol?
Yeah, well, that's sugar too.
It is a sugar,
right?
Yeah. Try and minimize that. I tend to drink red wine.
I'm just saying, like, that's just something we haven't really discussed, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Alcohol also messes with hormones as well. It's sugary. There's all sorts of. If you drink beer, it comes from hops and they're phytoestrogens as well, so it messes with guys' hormones. I don't really drink any beer anymore. Very occasionally, I'll have like one, and then I'll probably regret it afterwards. But in England, it's I was drinking pints of the stuff every weekend. But it's alcohol is not the best thing to drink. So red wine is the best. Glass with your meal or whatever, fine. That's what I think anyway. Yeah.
Coming from Neil Cannon.
Well, I follow some of the leading experts, and even in Grain Brain and Wheat Belly, they talk about how red wine has so many health benefits. I mean, it's
not white wine.
Yes, as well. I mean, red wine's better. There's more benefits to it. Like it can thin the blood. It could be anti-inflammatory. It can provide antioxidants. White wine wasn't talked about as much. Like most of the leading experts that I follow say red wine's like the best.
Okay.
So
awesome.
I look at people do you know Mark Sisson? Okay, he lives in Malibu. He's written the Primal Blueprint. This book pretty much changed how I thought about.
I've heard of that.
Everything.
I've heard of that.
Dietary. It's really good, and that's when I started reading up on inflammation actually. But it's all about living grain free and the ancestral way. It's basically the paleo diet is living as our ancestors would live before all the introduction of the ridiculous magic show plethora of awful stuff we find in the grocery stores. All the packaged goods, processed goods, all that should be avoided. It's eating real food basically, and also no grains. So the argument is that we've been around for millions of years as humans, but the agricultural industry started 10,000 years ago, and our bodies haven't adapted yet. Like 65% of the population can't tolerate grains. So, but most people don't know that yet. And then, they'll get inflammation.
Slowly but surely.
Exactly. And they'll have a lot of, most people will be inflamed. And then, inflammation accelerates the aging process as well. So, it's just, that book's a really good way of kind of reconsidering conventional health wisdom. It's good. I read that a few years ago, and then quite a few since on the similar kind of diet. But yeah.
I read a book, it was by someone in Portland, but it was like this thick. It was so thick, this book. But it was essentially this similar. I'm going to have to look it up since I mentioned it. But she was talking about eating liver, going to the grocery store, custom ordering stuff, and that most groceries will, and people don't even know that. So if there is something that you're specifically looking for, but really at the end of the day, because this was before Bulletproof, it was a very paleo diet, but on the fatty side.
Yeah.
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 So because paleo to me hasn't been, their focus has never really been fat. It's just, caveman.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if it's Grain Brain or Wheat Belly, they talk about how the ancestral diet would be 60% fat, 20% protein, and 20% carbohydrates from vegetables. From vegetables, not from
Got it.
starchy, not from starchy vegetables like potatoes or grains. So they would live 60% fat. So now that's swung completely around, and it's at least 60% carbohydrates we're eating, or the Western world are eating, 20% protein, and you're lucky to get 20% fat because people are still thinking, I've got to go low fat to keep my fat down, which is complete BS. So we need to really raise the fat, healthy fat.
Raise the fat.
Totally.
All right. Well, thank you for hopping on with us. Appreciate it, and sharing your knowledge with everybody, educating the world on just a new perspective. I'm making up words at this point. A new perspective on health, because it's true. So many people are unaware, and I mean, that's what we're on a mission to do, is enlighten them.
Love doing that.
New alternative ways.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on, Bethany. It's been cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you were as inspired as I was for that last message. So powerful, so powerful. And remember, if you have friends and family that also have powerful messages, we want to get them out. They deserve to be heard, because we all learn from each other, and there are so many unique ways of healing ourselves that doctors don't even know about. I don't even know about until someone shares with me. So support the mainstream mission. Let's show everyone that there is another way, and let's crush the word alternative so that it's care. We are just being in self-care and proactive about our health, which is our wealth, and that's what it's all about here at Health Addict and the Mainstream Mission. So please share, and thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye.